Pablo, we're going to start with definitions. The definition that I want to start with is, I know we're going to be talking about monotony, diversity, and functional diversity. And I would like to get clear, when we talk about monotony, diversity, and functional diversity, what do these three things mean? What is the difference between the three?
That's really good. Well, first of all, thank you very much. And what I'm going to be talking about today is not Pablo's story, it's my team's story. So thank you to all of them, and thank you to all the sponsors as well. I'm going to answer that question by asking you a question. So if I feed you the same thing, chemically, physically, over and over, day in, day out, it's a monotonous allocation of that. You pretty much get tired of it and then sick of it. Mm-hmm. I can do a different thing, offer you a diverse diet, right? Even formulated to you with a multiple ingredients for your own health and satiation. Diversity. But what if I feed you that in a plate with a spoon without being able to express yourself, and I feed you that day in and day out? That's a sort of monotony as well. On the other hand, when we are going to be talking about that in the next few minutes, about what we call functional diversity. It's pretty much give you the opportunity, give the animals the opportunity to choose, to make their own decision, to express their own individuality, to have the capability to conform their own nutritional and medicinal diet. So monotony, diversity, and functional diversity / choice.
Great. So if I'm understanding correctly, monotony is I'm eating cereal every single day.
Yep.
Diversity is I'm getting a balanced meal, but it's the same balanced meal every day.
Yep.
And functional diversity is I get to cook, and I get to choose every day, and I get to eat something different every day.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. So let's start with, what was your first experiment with monotony, diversity, and functional diversity?
So pretty much we ran a series of experiments, all published in top journals, scientific journals, where we offer several groups of sheep. This is a randomized, replicated set of experiments. We offer monotony, the status quo, the best ryegrass, white clover pasture you could ever imagine, versus a multi-species diet, what the regen people call 30 species, versus functional diversity. Just have the animal in front of different strips, if you like, of different species. And
so it's really just like, sorry to interrupt, but the functional diversity, it's like separated out. So the diversity one, it's all mixed in together, so they just eat what there is.
Exactly.
But the functional one, it's the species are all separated out, so the animal gets to go and choose.
Exactly,
Okay.
get to go, express their own thing. Diversity, we call it functional because imagine that the cow take a bite of 200 square centimeters, right? But we offer the intermingled sward. They get really frustrated about that intermingling of species. So what we did is split them out and let them, I'm going to go there now, go there later on, and so on. Yeah.
And what did you find?
Well, the first experiments were run with sheep, and we found that, in average, they increase functional diversity as compared to the other two, dietary monotony and diversity, 48% increase in light weight gain. Imagine, we can finish those animals almost in half of the time. Half of the methane, half of the nitrogen excreted onto pasture. We also find that the actual concentration of urinary nitrogen was reduced by 30%. Right? So far, so good. More production, less environmental impact. We also find that they feel better because they have 8% increase in total antioxidant status, much less oxidative stress and much less physiological stress. So pretty much they're feeling better. Also, 80% reduction in non-sterified acids, right? So that at the lambing. So the most stressful time of any female mammal is when they are lambing, calving, fawning, or giving birth. So they were much less stressed there. 20% reduction from a carcass point of view in drip loss, better carcass, 10% increase in dressing percentage, even better, 25% increase in hot carcass weight, and bigger shoulders and bigger sirloins. More, 10% improvement in the visual soil assessment, right? We tend to think that a multiplicity of forages, 30, 40 species altogether, will increase soil health. It's better to make it functional. And 5% reduction in cumulative cortisol in the newborn lamb. What does it mean? It means pretty much better from the get-go of life, better from conception to consumption. So we went ahead and said, well, that happened with a bunch of experiments with sheep. Would it be the same with dairy cows? There you go. Again, we are comparing dietary monotony, diversity, and choice, functional diversity. There you got the data. We produce more milk, 10, 15% more milk with functional diversity as compared to the other two. The milk of those dairy cows contain much less urea, which is directly related to nitrogen concentration in the urine, so much less environmental impact. 23 versus 13, you can see there. They were healthier. Look at the somatic cell counts from 181 to 123. So better, right? More. We said, well, sheep, dairy cows, what about deer? This is what we found with hinds and spikers. Pretty much, you see average daily weight gain there. Once the animals got adapted to those diets, look at the red arrow. They gain much more. Deer are semi-domesticated animals, tend to be stressed. I don't know if any of you have dealt with deer. They're hard to deal with, right? So we were trying to reduce stress, and we got it. Less stress. We reduced total antioxidant status, so we increased total antioxidant level by 13%. Definitely those animals were feeling better and producing more. We got some experiment with Angus. They produce around 10% more. No, I think 10, 15. Yeah, something like that. And average daily weight gain, and they felt better as well. So that's from a productive point of view.
Amazing. Okay, so the next question that I've got is we're talking about the animals.
Yeah.
And their weight gain and their antioxidant status and the nitrogen concentration in the urine, et cetera. Did functional diversity have any effect on the product itself, on the milk and on the meat?
Fantastic question.
Almost like I prepared it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, behind all of this, it just provides not a nutrient-dense diet. That's wrong, right? A glass of milk full of sugar is really dense as well, right? We want to provide biochemically rich diet, right? Instead of a monotonous same thing over and over, or diversity, same thing over and over, rich, but the possibility to choose. So the question was, will that translate in the product? So we use metabolomics and lipidomics, so the study of the whole metabolite in a living cell, tissue, or liquid, from a metabolite's point of view or from a lipid point of view. And we find out that as compared to dietary monotony and diversity, functional diversity, like choice, increased by 1.4 for the deoxycarnitine, right? Deficiencies of deoxycarnitine just lead to reduced intakes in infants. Deficiencies of deoxycarnitine leads to renal failure. Deficiencies of deoxycarnitine increase the fatigue or muscle weakness. In addition to that, leads to diabetes and heart attacks. In addition to that, we find a 1.2-fold increase in pantothenate, which is vitamin B, right? Which help to use fat and protein. And vitamin B, or pantothenate, is used to treat depression. I may be drinking quite a lot of that, right? I should be drinking quite a lot of that. But we also, you know, that milk contains 50% less of triethylmelamine, sorry about that, TMO, okay? So my accent and the chemistry don't get along very well. What is that? That it's a very dangerous stuff, if you like. We reduce it by 50%, and that is associated with cardiovascular disease and inflammation. It's also associated to fatty liver disease. In addition to that, it is related to risk of type 2 diabetes. Right? So we got 0.5% of that. So we also increased 2.1-fold the tyrosine. Well, that's amino acid. That tyrosine is related to cognitive function, is used to treat depression, and is used to treat anxiety. So that's from a milk point of view. When you look at the venison, so how would you graze Bambi? Right? Or if I ask you before, which milk would you drink to your kid? The status quo milk that we are producing now, or an alternative milk, not alternative, that consider the soil, the animal, the plant, and the whole system? So going back to the deer, how would you graze Bambi? Right? Would you give them the status quo that we are giving nowadays to our desert of ryegrass in New Zealand? Or would you spice it up? So this is the venison nutraceutics data. We increased by 27-fold increase in proline betaine. What is that associated with? Fetal brain development and cognitive function. It is anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. It is anti-cancerogenic. It is anti-diabetic and protect cardiac, renal, and neural functions. 27-fold increase of that. 59-fold increase is peptidoglycolic acid. I said it right? And that is associated with the protection against stress. Right? More of that, less stress. We also find that leads to or help release gamma-aminobutyric acid, which keep us and keep the animals relaxed. Remember, those deer were way more relaxed from a productive point of view. We prove it with this as well. It reflects in their meat. We also downregulated the 3-acylglyceride, which is bad for our heart. And we reduced by 20% the putrefact smell, in terms of putrescine, which is a biomarker of freshness.
Amazing. Can I just say, that's a really mean picture of Bambi.
It depends. I'm a massive carnivore, right? And the whole point is, whoa, what are you saying? My wife means, but please don't show that picture. and I remember you, Kyla, told me that as well, but I'm a rebel.
Excellent. We don't have too much time left, so I do just want to get to this. You've been experimenting on humans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is fun.
Can you describe?
And very expensive, though.
Can you describe the experiment that you've done with human beings?
Yeah, pretty much we run 3 already postprandial human trials. So I'm going to present one, which is the beef one, because I talk about the other animals now. I'm talking about beef. What we did is just say 24 people going through or eating the beef or patties with the exact amount of fat from animals facing monotony, diversity, and functional diversity. This is not a randomized and replicated experiment, but it's a crossover experiment. All those people went through all those treatments, so we erased the effect of each person there. So the previous night, we tell you only eat pasta, then you fast, and then we got into the gym of Lincoln University. We ask him a bunch of questions, and we take blood samples of them before they eat about 300 grams of meat, right? And then we take a sample of blood 2 hours after that and 4 hours after that. So this is actual blood in humans, right? And this is the first experiment in the world, and it's published in Nature, cause and effect, right? It is not an association. It's not an epidemiological study. It's just cause and effect. So we found that we increased twofold increase of gamma tocopherol, right? It's not alpha tocopherol, it's gamma tocopherol, which is the most potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and it's inversely associated to colon cancer, right? We find 1-fold increase of that you can read. Like coconut, you get the point, right? and that inhibit cholesterol production and absorption. Also decrease gallstones. Who would like to have gallstone from here? Nobody, right? We increase 1.5 the hydroxymethyl glutarate, right, which is used to treat hypercholesterolemia, which is pretty much statins, right? So instead of the doctor tell you, eat this pill, say, well, eat the meat that Pablo and Lincoln University are proposing, right? And eat more of that. 33% reduction in indoxyl sulfate, which is pretty much a uremic toxin, which we can find it in people with kidney disease, and is also related to cardiovascular disease and bone diseases there.
Incredible. Okay, we've got time for just one question. The question that I have is from Jorg Rittberger, who says, how can we incorporate functional diversity into large farming operations?
Yeah, before I answer your question, let me just wrap up and say, as you can tell, pasture is not pasture, as wine is not wine, and cheese is not cheese. Our health reflects how we graze them, right? We are members of nature's community. What we do to them, we do to ourselves. Only by nurturing them can we nurture ourselves. And by healing them, can we heal ourselves. Now, what was the question?
The question from George Rittberger asks, how can we incorporate functional diversity into large farming operations?
That's very good. And we are running, when we are scaling up, we have a whole dairy farm set at Lincoln University, which is the Integral Health Dairy Farm, which not only incorporate these concepts, but also incorporate other use of woody vegetation with medicinal and prophylactic properties under irrigation. So we have a program to scale that up, and we are working with other companies here in New Zealand and around the world to scale this concept of functional diversity from the ground up, leading to us. Yeah, and I can talk with whatever you are later on about how we do it.
Yeah, so Brig Rivera also asked about kind of how much harder it is to manage forage quality and quantity in a functional diversity system. When you talk about the farm that you have at Lincoln,
Yeah.
is that full farm scale trial?
Yeah, pretty much. We got 100 cows, we got 40 hectares, and we are finding that. In that farm as well, we have cows that we have selected for low nitrogen excretion and produce, in addition, a better milk, with this associated with reduction of anxiety, cardiovascular disease, and cancer.
Amazing. Laura Pritchard wants to, I know I said one question, but they're good questions, and I'm curious. What was the monotony multi-species and functional multi-species made up of? What kind of grass, herbs?
Well,
we don't need the whole thing, but a bit of an idea.
It was about between 25 and 30 species. We consider several grasses, several legumes, and herbs. I can give you the list. If not, I can start naming one by one now.
No, that's okay. Someone can catch you at morning tea. And finally, Jeff Simmons asks, what does the cultivation side of functional diversity involve? Tilling, et cetera?
But you can cultivate it as you like. What we do in the farms that we are dealing, and here and around the world, is just using direct drilling without using glyphosate.
Amazing. Thank you so much. If we could please, a huge round of applause for Pablo Gregorini. Thank you so much, Pablo.
Thank you.
Fantastic.